Whether you are a professional video game developer, a hobbyist game dev, or a devlog enthusiast, I have spent the last 2 years of my life crafting this video for you. In this video, I will be going over 600 days of developing my childhood dream game, Monster Tribe, going over the good, the bad, and definitely the ugly.
First,
this game sucks, and it's not going anywhere.
We'll be getting through all of this and more throughout this video, but I just wanted to mention I will be actually dropping random Steam gift cards as just a little present to say thank you, because you guys are amazing and you have changed my life in ways that I would never have thought possible. It's time to give back to you guys. So as a little incentive, all I ask is you make sure to subscribe to the channel and drop a like on this video, as the more likes we get on this video, the more money I'll put into future prize pools on new videos. Let's get 2,000 likes on this video and we'll do another giveaway on one of these Monster Tribe devlogs. Anyway, just like all projects, the game started as just an idea. From as little as 7 years old, I was driven to create video game ideas based on my favorite games I grew up playing to hopefully one day make these games or ones like them. Well, this idea has been revisited from just a bunch of animal-like creature drawings to a card game concept to finally actually concepting the video game idea back in June of 2020 when I released my first ever devlog on my game. The first 100 days of developing this game was honestly an amazing journey. I had created a total of about 8 different prototypes, from a weird faked 3D camera perspective to static rendered models to a simplified version of what the game will resemble in the months and years to follow. In the first couple months, this game concept turned from a turn-based roguelike into a fully fledged story campaign monster collector game with an open world to explore. Okay, so before I explain more about this video, I just also wanted to say that this is kind of like a 2-for-1 special, because while I'm making this video, I'm also going to be recording a lot of footage from my daily life. So it's kind of like a day in the life, but you're also getting 2 years of video game progression. Over the next 100 days of development, we had experimented with the battle arena concept with these 4 versus 4 battle competitions, and we added in some of my favorite mechanics I've always wanted to add in an open world RPG like this. Harvesting, woodcutting, mining, and fishing were added to the gameplay loop of exploring, collecting, and battling. Oh, right. And yeah, during this time, we actually added on 2 new members to the project. And at this point, we were ready to transform this game idea into a polished prototype that we would remember for the years to follow. So for the next 100 days, the 300 to 400 day period, this is where I actually started redesigning the game for a more professional look. From renaming the game from Monster Tower to Monster Tribe, of course creating a new logo in that process, I also decided it was time to start creating some real maps that we could play in the test world. So I added in a cool village with some awesome new buildings, created a dialogue system for the game to actually have some kind of story. And if you have dialogue and you're making an RPG, it's only natural we have to put in quests. Lastly, I created the first ever Monster Tribe announcement trailer I could start using to promote the product. By far the most important aspect of the next 100 days was setting up the game to get ready for the Kickstarter that would take place over the next couple weeks and decide the fate of our game moving forward. Okay, so I don't know if you guys remember this guy from the beginning of the video, but I'm actually an idiot and deleted the interview of this actually happening. The guy in this scene is actually from a later point in the video. He's in the last 100 days of the game's development. So we'll come back to Daniel later, but for now, just explaining what happened here. So right before I started the Kickstarter, I actually got in contact with one of my game development friends here on YouTube, and he linked me up with a guy that he knew. And this guy's basically like a game development marketing expert. So I asked him for some professional advice on what he would say about my game and if he thinks it would be a successful Kickstarter, or honestly just a good idea to develop this game in general. Long story short, this guy basically told me that the game wouldn't really amount to anything. He told me I should still develop the game if it was something that I was passionate about, but it probably won't hit the big shelves. I totally agreed with him, but overall, I kind of just ignored this and continued to develop the Kickstarter anyway. Well, fast forward a couple weeks later, and we actually hit a few $1,000s in the first 5 hours of our campaign. I actually remember this happening. I was working out at a friend's house, constantly refreshing the Kickstarter page to see how far along we were on the funding goal. And within the first 24 hours, we were halfway through our goal of $15,000. Okay, so I literally just got back from actually buying the gift cards that I'm giving away in this video. So this kind of feels like the most authentic time to talk about today's video sponsor, Southern New Hampshire University. These guys are absolutely killing it, but if you've never heard of SNHU, this is a university you can take your courses completely online, allowing your studies to be very adaptable to whatever kind of schedule you set for yourself. If you guys know a little bit about me, I actually dropped out of college a few years ago, and honestly, I think the biggest reason for this was because it was just interfering too much with my schedule on creating videos for you guys and developing video games. If I were to do it all again, I definitely hands down would have picked an online schooling to finish my education, which also brings us to the next point. Another cool feature is that if you're already in university and you're looking to swap over to an online education, they'll actually let you transfer up to 90 credits from your existing university, which is up to 75% of a bachelor's degree. And they do offer some really unique courses like the game dev course that I would highly recommend anyone watching this channel to check out. If you're serious about taking your studies online and creating a more self-paced environment, make sure to click the link in the description below and check out Southern New Hampshire University today. So we're 500 days in now. As far as gameplay goes, we did make a few adjustments to things like the battle scene, upgrading the visuals, and adding some new mechanics into the overworld. Things like improving the game's UI, adding in shops for players to actually buy and sell items and resources, reworking our main menu, and revamping even more UI like the pause menu. Now during these couple months, this was actually where we started transitioning from a successful Kickstarter kind of developing in the dark to finally making a big splash in marketing outside of the YouTube community. I got an email from Steam asking me to partake in one of the Steam Next Fests, and so we prepared a really buggy demo, and I actually ended up partaking in a live stream during the Steam Next Fest where I completely made a huge fool out of myself in front of 700 people, where they're literally watching a PowerPoint slideshow because for some reason my internet did not want to work that day. Regardless, the Steam Next Fest was a great opportunity to get people excited about the game that don't know my YouTube channel. We got tons of wish lists from this, which actually led us into getting awesome exposure to external publishers. We ended up signing with Freedom Games, which is a great publisher for indies, but no fantastic opportunity will ever go without consequences and problems, which leads us into the last 100 days of the Monster Tribe development process. All right, so the last 100 days of development, the first task that I wanted to take on was actually improving the trailer. So we've had this trailer for a good 6 to 8 months now, and it's just completely outdated. There's so many visuals in that trailer that just aren't in the game at this point anymore. The battle scene had been revamped like 7 times, and honestly, just the entire UI itself was just remade. I really wanted to show actual footage of the real game, and so for creating this trailer, we had to actually put together a new demo for players to experience, which was the actual game, the real levels that you can play in the final product of the game. So now coming back to this guy. So this is Daniel. Well, who is Daniel? Daniel is a marketing expert who works for Beyond the Summit. I won't really get into what Beyond the Summit is in this video, but pretty much all you have to know is that these guys are really important to actually progressing my career. So pretty much I got an email from Brian, who is the director of marketing on the Freedom Games team, and he basically told me that I had to meet up with this guy Dan from Beyond the Summit, where I would then have a conversation and flesh out some material that we can use for convention events coming up in April. I met up with Daniel and we put together a 3.5-minute featurette explaining exactly what Monster Tribe is to the people that just don't know about the game. This entire thing was actually being set up for the PAX East event happening April 21st. I will make a video on this at a later point talking about the entire process of working with a publisher, getting my game into PAX, explaining the process of how everything actually got done. But today, all you need to know is the overview of what happened in my development process. Anyway, thank you so much for watching the content I put out. Here is a quick giveaway code for anybody watching right now, just to say thank you for watching through to the end.